sort of, all of the apps were basically in that space. Social media type things. From that came one that people would, for a while, for a week or two, jokingly called Friendstalker. And
that was pretty famous, actually, or not? Friendstalker?
Friendstalker was the code name for Twitter.
Oh, okay. That's where I know.
And so eventually what happened is we divided out the team where I was left running the Odeo, less fun stuff of the traditional, and we set off a team. The initial team was Jack Dorsey, Florian Weber, and Noah Glass. And they worked on it for a few months, and eventually Florian couldn't get a visa to move to the US because he was a college dropout, and Noah did too many drugs, and there was a lot of drugs and drinking. And his wife left him right in the middle of that, and I think he moved onto a sailboat in the bay. Complicated. But eventually they went back and forth, and Evan Williams decided that he'd sold the company before. And when you sell a company as a CEO, they make you do this earn-out thing where you have to stay for a number of years, everything else. And he's like, oh, if I sell this again to Google, that would suck because I'd have to go back and work at Google. And no one on the team liked Google. Because Google doesn't get social software at all. And so they basically picked Jack Dorsey as the CEO because he wasn't crazy and doing lots of drugs, and he wasn't living in Germany, and he was the only other guy on the team. And so he ended up being named CEO. And then like a year or two later, they picked randomly who would be named co-founders. So like the naming of the co-founders happened almost 3 or 4 years into the company. And there's people who are like, should have been named co-founders, who decided that they didn't like getting the attention, like Jason Goldman, and then there's other people who, it's complicated.
Okay.
And
So
then
at this point,
Jack and Ev started firing each other over the number of close years.
so at this point, you had an early prototype of what we know today as Twitter.
Yeah.
And there's a famous story about, people say that there was Evans working with this ex-engineer who accidentally started creating the tweets. Is this true? Is this like it's currently said that that there was an engineer doing the tweets, but Evans had the vision for it, or sort of.
No one had the vision. No one had the vision.
That's
no one created Twitter.
I want the truth. The truth. How I want the real story.
That's the problem. That's the thing. It's like my curse right now is I was there. I was an active participant, but the title. No one cared. No one had titles. No one had official roles. There were some official roles, but it got very murky, and people did different things. The line between a founder and an early employee, if the company's run right, no one knows, because you're all a team and you work together. So, after there was a board coup, and Evan Williams got Jack Dorsey fired, Jack went around telling everyone that he created Twitter all on his own. Because he was really pissed at being fired. Now, it wasn't untrue that he created Twitter.
Yeah.
It just wasn't true that he was the only one who created Twitter. I have the most minimal code contributions you could possibly imagine in the actual Twitter code base. But I'm the reason we were doing SMS, and the reason we figured out how to do SMS delivery, and the reason we built it off of TextMob, as an example. And I hired every engineer on the team and picked out how they all are the architecture.
Are they still working now? Those first engineers that you hired, those
everybody
days?
left.
Everybody left.
Everybody
From
left.
the initial team.
Even the next, the complete next generation of people all left too.
Why?
Well, some of them left because they became multi-millionaires.
Yeah, that's a good reason.
But most of them left because it was a really contentious environment. So you can choose when you have a startup, you can choose two things. You can choose a group of people who really get along together, or you can choose a really diverse group of people who are passionate. And Odeo and early Twitter was a diverse group of people who were incredibly passionate and got in lots of fights. And it was good for creating a thing. It was not good for harmonious workplace.
What did you do after Twitter?
I went to Yahoo, where I was an architect at Yahoo Brickhouse, and so Yahoo at the time had just bought Flickr, Upcoming, Delicious, and some other companies, and was attempting to remake itself in a Web 2.0 type way.
Is it true that Flickr was like a video game forum at the beginning?
Yeah, it was called Game Never Ending. And then that's a fascinating story. So they wanted to do a video game company. They were in San Francisco. They moved to Canada because Canada offered them money, kind of like a startup Chile thing. They built Game Never Ending. It didn't work. They built a photo sharing tool inside the chat tool inside the video game Game Never Ending. And people really liked the photo sharing part of the chat application. And they're like, oh, what if we just build a photo sharing app? And they said, but they really wanted to do Game Never Ending. So they went and they built the photo sharing thing and it became Flickr and a big deal. Then they all quit Yahoo. A good portion of the team went and built Glitch, was Game Never Ending again. It also failed, but while it failed, they built a chat app
I had video?
to collaborate with each other, and that is Slack, which just raised money at $1 billion valuation.
And everybody's using it right now.
So they're really good at failing to make video games.
What do you think? Are they going to try it again?
No, we don't.
When they sold Slack for, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, at some point,
Because then it's not the
Stuart
time.
and Cal and the rest of the team are going to quit
And start the...
Slack and try and make a video game
Again,
again.
yeah, probably.
Maybe something good would
Probably
come out.
they had
come
just
out
bad
of
timing, you know, when they were building it.
They probably built a holographic chat.
You know, it's not a very good game. I've played every version of it. They're much better at the other.
So if you were to like assign a contribution for the people that were at Twitter at that time, and you would say, okay, this guy, 50% of the, you know, the responsibility would be from this guy, and so on. How would you split it?
Oh, it's really hard. I don't think you can divide it up. I mean,
It's not their intention as well, right?
yeah. So the person who ended up actually building most of the code base that was Twitter was originally Florian and Jack, and then their code didn't work very well, and then this guy named Blaine Cook rewrote it all. And Blaine was the person who was sort of the central, after I left, Blaine was sort of the central, most senior person technically on the team. And then Blaine and Jack got in an argument about how many people they should hire and how to structure it. And Jack fired Blaine, and then Twitter was down for 3 months.
Wow.
And then the board's like, what the fuck, you hired the architect who's the only one who knows how it works? And then the board fired Jack. And then Jack went around and told everyone that he'd been fired and he was the sole founder of the company. And then he got the VCs to fire Ev and got put back in. And then people were like, oh wait, Jack's difficult to work with too. So he got fired again. And he went off and did Square. What?
Like a buying competition?
Yeah, you know. They're making a TV show about it.
Which one?
About how Twitter got founded.
Yeah.
They've signed a contract with Lionsgate and everything else. And yeah.
A TV show?
Yeah.
HBO.
Yeah, HBO.
Who's gonna play you?
I don't know. But I actually suspect that my role and Blaine Cook's role will be combined into one person.
Would you like Zach Galifianakis to play you?
Unlikely.
Sorry, I don't know if anybody asked you about what are you doing right now.
I am buying a motorhome and gonna drive the Pan American Highway back to the US.
That's good.
I just finished a 2-year earnout I had a company in Uruguay.